We're joined now by Nighat Arif, who specialises in women's health and closely works with South Asian community in Buckinghamshire. Morning to you.
Morning.
I feel like I have so much to ask you because there are so many questions coming in.
I might just listen to this bit.
It's fine.
Ask away. Ask
okay, so first of all, when do you know that this is happening to you? And, I didn't even know the term perimenopause until very recently.
The thing is, it varies so much from woman to woman, and that's why menopause is such a unique experience to each woman. So perimenopause is sort of termed as early menopause, and that can be from any age after sort of 42 up until even the 50s. Menopause itself is defined as a certain point in time where you don't have a period for a year to 2 years, and that's roughly around 52, 53. That's a national average in this country.
Lots of different symptoms, and people can go online and find the various symptoms, can't they? What should people be looking out for, and when do they need to go and see their GP?
So normally we say if, as a woman, you're noticing hot flushes, tiredness, fatigue, also memory fog, low mood, irritability. My sort of threshold for women is if something doesn't feel right to you, that's the point to go knocking on the doctor's door and say, this doesn't feel right, and just get them to listen to that. And the difficulty is that there's almost like 32 different types of symptoms, as your VT just said. There's so many different symptoms, and they vary so much from woman to woman. So the key thing is, if it doesn't feel right to you, come and see us.
You say it varies woman to woman. It also seems to vary sort of geographically as well. Is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So I work in around Slough, and about 10 years ago, when I was a junior doctor, I used to sit in Wexham Park Hospital, and I used to get Asian women, and they mostly speak Punjabi, and they would say to me, Dr. Saab, sab kuch dukhta hai, yahan se leke yahan tak. So translated, that means everything hurts from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet.
Right.
And they'll be sitting in A&E, clearly distressed, palpitations, and they hadn't had sleep, so insomnia is one of those. And we'd all sort of clerk in our notes saying, oh, this is head-to-toe pain, and then we'd do a battery of tests, check them for anemia, check them for thyroid or vitamin D. Invariably, most Asian women will have a low vitamin D. We'll pack them off with vitamin D capsules. And then when I did general practice in Slough, and I would see these women coming back, and they were like, I've taken vitamin D for a year, my symptoms are still there. And it's because they vary so much. So statistically, if you look at the statistics...
Actually, they were menopausal.
They were menopausal,
right.
exactly. Right. So Asian women tend to come with more physical symptoms. They will say, look, things hurt. I would get ladies saying to me, navel downwards, things hurt. I get aches and pains, I get memory fog, I get fatigue. And then if you look at sort of Japanese women, they will mostly say, well, I get symptoms of shoulder aches. And they did a study in India which found that women mostly complain of vision loss as a sign of menopause. But actually, if you clinically look at them, the papers suggest they don't have vision loss at all. And if you look around UAE, so Arab Emirates and those women there, about 45% of women will say, well, I have hot flushes and I have vaginal dryness. But that doesn't take into account the rest of the women, does it?
I was trying to explain it, and I've done a piece for Tomorrow specifically about the sort of journey that I've been on, and I was trying to explain it to John Maguire, and for me it's like trying to explain something that's invisible. So that might be why people report symptoms in different ways.
It's easier to understand a physical symptom, and in our sort of, where I come from, the Pakistani community that I work with in subcontinent, we're more likely to complain about our physical symptoms, because in our culture, the menopause traditionally isn't seen as a medical problem. So they'll say, well, why should I bother the doctor with that when he's got, or she's got, cancer and diabetes and all these real conditions to deal with? The menopause is something that's seen as a point in time, which is a natural thing. And I think over time, what I've seen Asian women, particularly the ones I work, there's almost like an ambivalence to the condition. It's like, well, we will go through this. It's a chore that most women will have to endure, like menstruation. If you're menstruating, you endure that. Pregnancy, you endure that. Childbirth, you endure that. And so now the menopause is here, and there's almost like, well, this is something that we'll go through. But the thing is, 1 in 4 women suffer horrendously to the point that they really sort of feel suicidal with it.
Do you think this will change the conversation?
Sorry?
Do you think things like this will help to change the conversation? Do you think it's something which we can get better at discussing, whatever sort of side of the tracks we're on?
So the biggest thing that we have is just having a Pakistani doctor on TV, as I was saying, is amazing, because this shows women that actually women across all cultures experience this. This is not just a Western phenomenon, and we see it all over. And there are some real key things that Asian women aren't expressing to their doctor. So, for example, painful sex, loss of libido, those are such massive taboo subjects. And if you look at consultation notes, only 10% of women will ever, put that up. So does that mean 90% of women are having absolutely healthy, amazing sex lives, but from subcontinent Asian backgrounds? I doubt it, but they're just not being picked up. And NHS England are doing a huge drive about getting diversity and also looking at health inequalities. And CCGs locally across the country are looking at their community and trying to put GPs on the ground, such as myself, who are grassroots GPs, to sort of say, look at your community, see what we can change.
We were speaking to a doctor very early on this morning who was saying they're going to try, their aim is to make the NHS the best website for information on this. So, you know, there is work to be done, and there is work being done.
There's loads of, so Diane Dansborough, who started the whole Menopause Matters, there's Neelam Hira, who started the Sisters Group, so trying to get Asian ladies to talk about taboo subjects like endometriosis, their periods. So there is ripples being made, waves will form, tsunamis will come.
I think we might have made a wave today.
Yeah, we have definitely made a wave.
It's really lovely to chat.
Yeah, things will change.
Judging by the comments we've received as well, which we haven't given ourselves enough time to read through all the comments. Throughout this week, we're going to try and we'll collate as many as we can, but continue to have the conversation. I know it's happening on social media this morning.
One thing I just want to briefly mention, Karen says, a beautiful segment of menopause. I went into surgical menopause at 42. We are talking about that specifically as well. Just one of the many topics we're talking about later on this week. I think that's on Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been great. As well